Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Tasmanians are feeling the brunt of an energy crisis, according to the state's Peak Business Group, with new developments already blocked due to a lack of capacity. The government is under fire, accused of resting on its laurels when it comes to investment, as a gas generator is fired up to provide extra power.
Hydropower is the pride of Tasmania, powering the state for decades. But it's not unlimited.
We're in the middle of an energy crisis in Tasmania. This has been looming for a number of years.
Business development's blocked due to a lack of available power. One of those, the Boyer paper mill, wants to replace coal-fired boilers with electric-powered ones.
They've been told they cannot access any more power, which means their new project cannot proceed.
The economic regulator says there's no extra wholesale power in the state until July next year.
Instead of capping power prices, they've capped the Tasmanian economy.
We recognise with a growing economy, we need a greater investment in our energy resources.
With Tasmania's 100% renewable status also under threat.
Can you confirm that you are now having to run the open cycle gas-fired power station at Bell Bay?
The answer to your question is no.
But with nearly 2% of the state's generation coming from the site yesterday alone, the Premier was forced to return.
It hasn't been used for energy security and only run at commercial opportunities for hydro.
With Marinus now canned unless the federal government chips in more, the Chamber of Commerce says the link is essential to get new generation off the ground.
We know that Tasmania would benefit greatly by those developers who could then press a button straight away on their projects.
Energy's become a key battleground, with Tasmanians facing a 22% increase in prices over the last 2 years. But now Labor's been accused of overstepping the line. A flyer mocking those price hikes, branded gutless propaganda.
People have contacted us, and indeed Aurora as well, vulnerable Tasmanians who thought they owed a number of Franklin owed large power bills.
I have lost count of the number of elderly people who've contacted me about their actual power bills. That's what I'm concerned about.
A shock to no one, the energy wars are here to stay. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
A Greens push for an inquiry into ambulance ramping has been successful, but they claim it's been watered down. The government amended the motion, replacing the term ramping with transfer of care delay, and removed a point specifically examining a significant increase since 2015.
Based on the experts. This is the information, this is the language that's used by Ambulance Tasmania.
We don't want or need government speak. It's not about what the government wants to call it, it's about what Tasmanians understand is really happening.
Ramping has worsened every year since 2017-18, with nearly half of all patients in the south waiting to be transferred. Jailing is failing. That's the key message in a new report highlighting several alternatives to prison time. The state government now under pressure to abolish its plan for a multi-million-dollar centre in the north and divert the funds to prevention and rehabilitation programs.
A penal system bursting at the bars. Tasmania's prison population increasing 36% in the last decade.
Going to prison makes it more likely that somebody will go on to reoffend.
A new report from the Justice Reform Initiative is proposing alternatives to incarceration which address the issues that cause people to offend, including poor mental health and substance abuse.
Bail hostels would be a good idea to keep people out of the remand population. We need more programs in prison. We need more post-release programs too.
Where you invest in intensive support programs, it can bring about a 65% reduction in repeat offending.
Campaigners lobbying the government to invest in a Breaking the Cycle fund and abandon plans to build a $270 million northern prison at the current Ashley site.
There will be some people who go to jail, of course, but the real message here is that there is a very large percentage of the prison population in Tasmania that is going around and around and around.
However, the Deputy Premier says recovery programs are already part of the plan.
The model that's being designed for the North is in fact for a more contemporary prison. So better interventions and better rehabilitation training programs, vocational training programs.
The state of Tasmania's prison system is currently before the Legislative Council. Its inquiry into adult imprisonment and youth detention matters will return tomorrow, where the Justice Reform Initiative will continue its push for alternatives to incarceration. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
More people could be catching the Derwent ferry to work, with discussions about a service expansion set to steam ahead. It's expected to alleviate heavy traffic from the Eastern Shore and Hobart and increase tourism.
Second birthday celebrations for a service well supported by Tasmanians and tourists alike.
Usually just use the bus, but now I get the ferry, it's more exciting.
A new master plan is underway to deliver more Derwent ferry services, with potential stops and routes for a second ferry now being discussed by the state government and Hobart City Council.
Well, we're very excited. This ferry's been a great success. 250,000 people. We've extended the contract by a further 2 years, and we're now looking for our next exciting expansion opportunity with a new ferry location.
It's something passengers are keen to see.
We love Tasmania, and this is a really nice way of seeing it.
The ferry's already helped ease gruelling congestion on the Tasman Bridge, with around 500 people less using it every day. It's hoped an additional service will encourage more people to ditch their usual peak hour commute.
Definitely carrying maybe a few more people than we first anticipated, but the support has been great, and people have definitely shown up in droves, so it's been really good to see.
The federal government's also contributed $20 million to the expansion project in conjunction with the state government. The next announcement for the project's expected before the year is out. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
A prominent Tasmanian street artist is exposing his brush with the dark web after falling victim to a cyber attack. He's hoping his experience serves as a timely reminder to be safe online so others can avoid the same fate.
Normally bursting colour into the streets of Launceston, suddenly stripped down to a bare online canvas.
You are so powerless and you're so helpless.
It took James Cremard Cowan 12 years to build his Facebook business page to what it is now, but it took hackers just moments to wipe it.
It was devastating to know that within 24 hours someone kicked me out as the admin and taken full control.
His personal details stolen, sold on the dark web.
That gave them 36 people time to crack my passwords, my information, my personal information, and actually absolutely wreak havoc.
Still going through the painstaking process to reclaim his account.
It was so daunting, and it still is, to be honest, until I have full control.
The prominent artist not the only person to join the undesired hit list.
A lot of people do have concerns about people accessing their accounts because they haven't had the right security.
A call to action as more Tasmanians fall victim.
People really need to have good two-factor authentication on all their social media and all their email accounts. It's a very, very important thing to do.
Make sure you lock down all your accounts, make sure you have strong passwords, and don't use the same password on all your accounts is the biggest one.
A timely reminder to check your internet safety list and check it twice. Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
And if you think you've heard it all, try umpiring 1,000 games of footy. David Kemp will notch up the incredible milestone this weekend after 45 years in the game. And the change he misses most is the simplest of them all.
David Kemp has been through this routine nearly 1,000 times before as he enters the cauldron of a captivated audience. The only thing rarer than the milestone he's marking this weekend is a perfectly umpired game.
We try and have respect for players, and we have the expectation that there's respect for us.
And there will be plenty of respect for the man turning 67 tomorrow when he adjudicates game number 1,000 this weekend.
Loved running. That got me in the first place, and not being a great player myself, decided I wanted to stay involved.
That involvement spans 45 years. He's heard plenty of advice over that time, but it's the change to what spectators see which he misses most.
The man in white is always right, except when he's wrong.
David fondly remembers being called a white maggot Not for the language, but the look. What do they say now to you?
Oh, call you a green Kermit the Frog or something.
What hasn't changed is David's love for the game, something he hopes others will discover too.
So we encourage players when they retire from playing footy to at least consider donning the green shirt.
Consider it a green light to a life calling the shots. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
The future of Tasmania's hairdressing talent has been hard at work creating fashion-forward looks for a much-loved competition. The unique TasTAFE initiative is aimed at honouring the memory of a young stylist tragically killed 10 years ago.
Competing to be a cut above the rest.
It's been so much fun, and the weeks leading up to it as well. It's been scary, but it was very good.
40 apprentices going head-to-head across 4 categories, crafting the coolest look for the Natalia Pern Awards.
They can use their creativity and go wild with the hairstyles within the rules.
This year's challenge, sleek finger waves with a hint of pearlescent shine. Overall winner Lily Riemann bringing modern flair to the sinuous century-old style.
They are probably the most challenging thing out of the whole look. You need lots of gel, that's the main thing. It needs to be really sleek.
With judges going over each entry with a fine-tooth comb, the first-year apprentice was initially nervous about participating.
But then as it kind of went into it and, practiced a lot, I was like, oh, this has actually been really fun.
Now in its 11th edition, the competition is named after a local hairdresser who died in a car crash in 2013.
It's amazing, it's wonderful they still honour her and think of her. We think of her every day.
Natalia's parents on hand, keeping an eye on emerging talent.
Each year they come up with something new, like they don't just rehash the same thing year after year. Each year there's a different concept, and the imagination shown this year was amazing.
Signalling an increasingly stylish future for Tasmania.
It's really lovely that they still put the work in and do it after 10 years, and it'll go for a long time. I'd like to see that frame filled.
Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
The Salvation Army is desperately trying to recruit more Hobart locals to sleep rough for one night and raise vital funds for those experiencing homelessness. The group hopes to raise $150,000 as part of tomorrow night's sleep out near the Hotel Grand Chancellor.
So far it's raised $32,000, but of course we really need to get at least to that 150 so that we can keep our street to home assertive outreach workers out in the community.
35 people have signed up, including Mia and Claude from Knight Frank, who've raised over $4,000.
Shared around the word, got some fundraising from our colleagues, family and friends, and just coming with a good attitude.
Donations can be made through the Salvation Army website. The final element of the new St Luke's Health and Wellbeing Hub in Hobart CBD has been unveiled. The spectacular tree hollow installation was made from Tasmanian blackheart sassafras and designed to welcome the community inside.
So we wanted to create a gathering space to bring the city in to the space and look to nature for inspiration.
Having easy access to these sort of services is so vital. We have a really ambitious goal to make Tasmania the healthiest island on the planet.
The space will host community events, classes and workshops, hoping to improve access to health services. The hub opens on August 21.
And the Devonport Strikers are less than an hour away from their Australia Cup clash on the Gold Coast. The club rooms at Valley Road will be open for fans to watch the game in friendly surrounds. Devonport has qualified for the Australia Cup 5 times and treats it as one of the hottest tickets in the game.
It gives the team national exposure. I mean, it's very hard for Tasmanian club teams to get national exposure in anything, and for us to be able to do it now for the 5th time, it's a real boon for the club.
Much of the current team played in last year's round of 32 clash against the Wellington Phoenix at home. Cricket Tasmania's newest rookie won't be making the move south just yet. 17-year-old Aidan O'Connor still needs to finish high school in Launceston, so he's joined the recently announced Emerging Tigers program. The all-rounder says he plans to soak up all the expertise on offer.
Robert Caswell, the bowling coach, has helped me out so much over this little period so far, so
just trying to be a bit of a sponge, if it makes sense, like take all the information I can.
The Tiger Cub has been able to join the rest of the team for training blocks during school holidays. Meanwhile, 2 rising Tigers have earned national call-ups. Tim Ward and Caleb Jewell have both been selected for Australia A's upcoming series against New Zealand A. The duo is part of a 17-man squad which will play 2 4-day matches in Queensland later this month. Silver service for Georgia Baker. The Tasmanian cyclist has won another medal at the World Cycling Championships, finishing second in the women's points race. It adds to her silver in the Madison yesterday. The Jack Jumpers trio of imports has touched down in Tasmania, ready to build a team which can contend for the championship. The returning Milton Doyle is being credited with getting Jordan Crawford and Marcus Lee to the island.
A talented trio looking to drive the Jack Jumpers towards a successful season. Milton Doyle, Marcus Lee and Jordan Crawford weathering delayed flights to finally make it to Tasmania. The re-signed Doyle says it was a no-brainer to return.
I loved it here last season, my family did. The kids loved it here, going to the beaches and parks. So it was easy for me to just make that decision.
The NVP's talents also stretching off-field. His new teammates say his selling skills helped make their decision to sign on a simple one.
And talk how the family loved it. Same, my wife is here, so the fact that his family loved it just makes my wife more comfortable.
He spoke nothing but good things, and just being able to play with him and not against him will be a whole lot easier for me.
Fresh from an off-season house renovation, Marcus Lee is looking to build a championship team. The former Melbourne United player also relishing playing for the raucous MyState Bank Arena crowd.
The energy is unbelievable when you get not only in the arena but in Tasmania in general.
Jordan Crawford fitting the coach's hungry but humble mentality. This year's top scorer in the Turkish league, excited about who he gets to play with.
I've heard nothing but great things about everybody, all the shooting power we're going to have this year, so I'm so excited.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
And some of Tasmania's best sprint car drivers are heading to Darwin to compete in this year's Chariots of Thunder series. Jock Goodger is one of 40 racers ready to tackle the top end.
He's the reigning national sprint car champion, but Jock Goodger is hungry to add to his trophy collection. The title defence is set to go up again next week.
You can't obviously go in there expecting to claim everything, but yeah, obviously we're going to roll in there to try get as many wins as possible and see what we can do.
He's one of 5 Tasmanians competing in the prestigious Chariots of Thunder at Darwin's Northline Speedway.
Mix it with some of the Australia's best, and yeah, it's just cool to sort of escape this Tassie cold for a little bit.
Tate Frost is also making the trip. The rising star eager to make tracks after a breakthrough season.
Just excited to get going again, like we had a 5-month break. You sort of get keener and keener as the weeks progress.
Tate's off-season has been far from quiet, spending his time in the gym.
The most crucial parts is sort of your neck, your shoulders and your forearms really. Just go to F45 like 5 times a week.
Their skills are set to be tested across 2 weekends.
The series is 4 nights of racing and plus a few activities. It's a very technical track. It is one of the drivers particularly like.
Both Tate and Jock are tipped to score some good results.
He's been one of the top contenders for a few seasons now. I think this may be his year. Tate Frost from Tasmania, he's getting some excellent form coming here.
Fellow Tasmanians Adam Garwood, Jack Crossan and Tony Klasner are also heading north. Yeah, good luck to them. And Kim, this is our last night on air together. My time at 7 Tasmania is coming to an end. And I just want to say you've been such a huge supporter and friend of mine over the years. I just want to say thank you so much for being the person you are. And I'll tell you what, I'll miss this dearly.
Oh, Tom, we'll miss you too very much. So we're also very proud of you. I know, and I speak on behalf of our entire audience by wishing you well as you return home to Adelaide and back to your family. You leave officially on Friday. I will be away, but make sure you come in because I know the rest of the team has a very big farewell plan for
I wouldn't miss it for the world, Kim.
Good-o. All the very best, Tom.
Good evening. A pretty chilly start right around the state today. Hobart did get to 14 and that was still above average for this time of year. Launceston 13, Devonport 14 and Burnie 15 degrees. Friendly Beach is our high with 17 after our overnight low of -5 at Butler's Gorge. King Island and Smithton 16, Flinders Island, St Helens and Strawn 15, Low Head and Grove 14, Lyre-Weenie -3 overnight to a high of 6. Some areas of low cloud across the state, mainly over the north today. A bit of high cloud increased over the state later. A large mid-level cloud band to our west extends over southern, south and Western Australia. And that's about it for the cloud. Tomorrow, we see that the cold front will cross Tasmania in the morning with a cooler west-southwesterly airstream blowing in afterwards. So those northwesterly winds will shift to the southwest and range up to 30 knots, swells to 3.5 metres. A strong wind warning has been issued for waters from Wineglass Bay clockwise around to Flinders Island. Forecast for tomorrow. Partly cloudy in Hobart, 15 the top. A few showers though forecast for Cygnet and New Norfolk. Launceston tomorrow, a high of 16 with showers easing. Devonport the same, 15 degrees the top though and 14 for Campbelltown. Burnie a high of 13 with showers easing, showery for Strawn and Smithton. Temperatures still in the low teens. 16 the top for St Helens with a shower or two. Partly cloudy for Swansea, 16 the maximum as well, 14 for Fingal. To Friday, fine in the east, showers elsewhere more frequent over the west and far south. Showers on Saturday more frequent over the west, south and Bass Strait, cloudy again in the east. And on Sunday mostly fine and partly cloudy but pretty cold. Showers increasing over Perth tomorrow, fine for Adelaide. Rain easing to showers in Melbourne, 15 there tomorrow. A windy day on the way for Sydney, 24 and fine in Brisbane. Cloudy in Hobart and 12, cloudy also in Launceston and showery in Devonport. Now, Kim, I saw your little love in there with you and Tom Johnson. Big shock to me. Why wasn't I told about poor old Tom going? He says, this is big.
That's because you only work for 2 minutes a day, Murph. You missed out. That is all your news for now. I'm off on holidays for a week or so and Louise will be with you in the chair. Thanks for joining us this evening. Good night.